Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for an abridged, dearly departed show. It's round 18, but we only had one of our teams play. Of course, this is the show that discusses the teams I covered in the Championship. Leeds, Villa, Watford, Norwich, Brentford that have got themselves promoted. Only Leeds played, but I think we can have a pretty good discussion about Leeds' game against Arsenal and just the direction of travel now for Leeds. Looks like a pretty big moment for Bielsa to pull out of what could turn into a nosedive. Lots of mitigating factors, lots of nuance that we can talk about in terms of where Leeds are. So that is what we're going to do today. Please don't tune out if you support one of the other teams. Have your say on Leeds and Bielsa. Why not in the chat down there. Thank you to Simon, who is our fan sponsor. He's a Bees fan, 25 years a Brentford fan, finally the bus stop in Hounslow in the Premier League. Thanks, Dad, for taking me. 96 when football was not such a priority as it is now. Simon's got involved on patreon.com. It'll always be free over here on YouTube, but you can go over to Patreon if you want to support my work here, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you, as ever, to Simon in the God tier over there. He has his own show. Right. Let's get into Leeds and Arsenal, and more really the kind of where Leeds go from here and what's wrong and how bad is it really conversation. So, as I said, Leeds 1, Arsenal 4 yesterday. The Sky game survived. Every other game was postponed in the Premier League yesterday. We do have games today. In fact, I'm off down to Tottenham in about 2.5 hours, so I better crack on with this. But Leeds 1, Arsenal 4, and a really bad week for Leeds. We'll go through the game reasonably quickly because that narrative is fairly straightforward. It wasn't great from Leeds. It was comfortable for Arsenal. There's some mitigating factors and some bits to talk about. But I'm really interested in your comments on where Leeds are now. One, so 2 in the Championship, 3. So 3.5 seasons into Bielsa now and how they move onward and hopefully upwards. And the plane gets lifted out of what could turn into a nosedive if this goes much further in the direction it's gone for a fair amount of this season, unfortunately. There is the teams, and this is the first mitigating factor, of course. Leeds have injury problems. So, when I get your comments, I understand. I'll probably get some saying, well, Ben, I'm not too worried, and I suspect the team will be stronger at various other points through the season, and they'll pull away. That argument makes some sense, and we'll talk about the players that are missing. Remember, though, there is a scenario where that argument doesn't become relevant because maybe the players, maybe you never get the entire first 11 on the pitch for the whole season. Maybe you're just unlucky with injuries. So that would be my only pushback to that argument that, yes, I like the Leeds first full-strength 11, did very well last season, but you might not get it on the pitch. That's the thing. Might just be very unlucky all season with injuries. So, Meslier in goal. Koch returns. I'd call him a first teamer, even though it's been Llorente and Cooper for the majority of the season. Ayling at left centre-back is clearly out of position there. We get that. No Cooper, no Llorente, no Stroic. So, problems, we get it. Dallas at left-back. Yes, it's not his first position, but that's fine. He's done really well there and wherever he's played, hasn't he? Cody Drammer at right back, yes, that's not a first teamer, and we don't want to pile in on young players. He struggled in this game yesterday. Midfield, Click, Forshaw, yes, they're good. They're good players, but Calvin Phillips is just obviously a very, very, very good player, isn't he, in that position? Rafinha, Harrison, Tyler Roberts, Joe Gelhardt up top. Nice to see the youngster Gelhardt getting a go. Look, again, all good players, first team players. Roberts on the periphery of the first team. Gelhardt, not a first teamer, really a youngster working in. So, I say all first team players. They're not. They're clearly not, are they? Harrison and Rafinha are. And, again, we have to mention, I'm sure I'll miss someone out here, so put it in the comments. Rodrigo, Patrick Bamford as well. I'm sure I'm missing somebody else out. Dan James is not there. I don't know whether he was on the bench. Let me just look on the other screen and get a list up. Who have I missed out? I don't think I've missed anyone else vitally important out. Bamford, Cooper, James, Rodrigo, Phillips, Shackleton, Strauch. There you go. So Leeds are missing a load of players. So that can parlay into the conversation that we can have perhaps after we've analysed the game in terms of, is that the biggest mitigating factor? It's not the only factor in Leeds' drop-off in terms of points per game this season compared to last season, and obviously extremely high standards in the Championship as well. Arsenal look stronger, don't they? Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White, who was a great player for Leeds, wasn't he? Gabriel, Tierney, Partey, Xhaka, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli and Lacazette. So pretty strong from Arsenal, and you certainly say Arsenal way closer to their strongest 11 than Leeds are. I think that's the important discussion. We can go into relative riches and teams being in the Premier League for years and years before, and that's probably not the conversation for today, is it? Leeds challenged very well against everybody, however much money they had last season, didn't they? Here are the goals. It's not great, is it? Leeds getting in a big muddle here and not clearing their lines sufficiently. Forshaw, who you can see on the deck, has a bad touch. And, I mean, Lacazette's actually got an assist there. He's just prodded it across. And who puts it in? Martinelli is going to find that big gap to Mellier's left. Nothing on Meslier there. He gets completely left exposed. He gets a hand on it, but it's a pretty easy finish there. And it all goes south pretty quickly. That goal's on 16. Leeds are going to be 3-0 down by 42. And again, look, we're not here to pile in especially on young players. No, I don't like that at all. All players playing out of position. And when we look, we see Drama and Ailing not quite getting close to Martinelli. Look, it's very good from Martinelli. He shows a bit of strength. He could have gone down and Drama would have been probably red carded when he tried to make the tackle on the edge of the box. It's not great from Drama, is it? But I think it's irresponsible for people to be going on the internet and, going in two-footed on young players. Look, it is what it is. He just doesn't track the run of the gaps. He's to kind of come in tight and cover and, it's not a great goal. Martinelli gets his second. What we should probably say is that that's probably a red card, isn't it? Again, lots of things to discuss, and I'm sure some people will want to have a discussion about COVID, some people will want to have a discussion about wealth, some people will want to have a discussion about this red card. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories against teams and nonsense like that. Let's just focus in on this particular challenge, and it's probably a red card. Yeah. Xhaka just goes in, mistimes the tackle, you see. And that type of thing where the tackle is mistimed and the foot goes on top of the other foot or onto the ankle or whatever is pretty much textbook endangering opponent now, isn't it? So I don't know why that's not been picked up as a red card or picked up on the VAR as a clear and obvious error, because I don't believe he got booked. No, so that looks like a mistake. And if we could focus on the actual tackle rather than any kind of conspiracy theories, but I do think in isolation that should be a red card. Whether it changes the game here or not, I don't know. Red card always changes a game, doesn't it? But hey, not the conversation maybe today. It looks like I've missed off. Have I got it here? Saka's goal. I have not got it. My bad. You don't need to be seeing all of that. Anyway, Saka deflected goal. Again, Leeds caught out and Saka ends up on the left side of the box. And we saw one of these against Man City where you can on the one hand say deflections are unlucky. They're not always unlucky though, are they? Deflections often happen for a couple of reasons that aren't anything to do with luck. One of them is when a team is dominant and the other team's defending very, very deeply, very narrow. There's lots of players in the way and their kind of defensive setup's not really ideal. And the other is when things are a bit disorganised and there's legs being thrown at shots when they perhaps shouldn't. And I think that was the case on Saka's goal. So, that went 3-0. And sorry, my bad, got in the wrong order then. Saka's goal, 3-0, half-time, and Xhaka's challenge in the second half. I'm really sorry if I've got my timeline there. My pictures aren't in the right order here, and I don't appear to have that. So my apologies there. Normally do a bit better than that. Anyway, there we go. We've done that into the second half, and 75 minutes before Leeds get on the score sheet. So one positive, Joe Gelhardt is very, very good at driving into the box and drawing tackles and manoeuvring the ball quickly and accelerating. And this is definitely a penalty. What I thought was quite funny. Ben White, I don't know if he's giving his old team some help here because it's a rubbish tackle, isn't it? Comes flying in. Gelhardt just has to move the ball to the side and take the hit. And yes, I know we get a certain school of people that say, oh, no, every penalty someone has to be completely cleaned out and fouled and tackled within an inch of their life. No, it shouldn't be the responsibility of the attacker to take a big hit on a tackle. And we accept that, tackles are worked, aren't they? And look, I'm going too long on this. It's definitely a pen on Gelhardt. But I just found quite funny Aaron Ramsdale comes out and gives a big round of applause for the tackle and then pretends to be shocked when a penalty's given. Here comes Rafinha, who, excuse me, it's not recurring, sometimes gives the Leeds fans a bit of anxiety with his penalties and his run-ups, and he kind of stops. He's had a few of late, hasn't he? Rafinha, he slams this one into the top corner. Talking of positives, let me just click on Rafinha over here on my laptop. 8 goals in 16 starts. So there you go. If I was just watching Jermaine Beckford and Graham Souness, he said no positives. I'll give you 2. Joe Gelhardt is starting to be integrated in and has viable strengths at Premier League level in terms of those darting runs into the box. And Rafinha is giving good attacking output this season. 8 goals. I'm sorry, I didn't check the assist. He's probably got some assists as well, and we can get an even better number. 1 assist. So look, 9 goal contributions in 16 games for a team that's at less than a point per game is very good from Rafinha. If only they had their goal scorer Bamford fit, maybe someone else would be weighing in with some goals, and that's an issue, obviously, for Leeds. And goals, yes, they keep getting conceded. Look, we've got to give credit here, to Odegaard, I think it is, yeah. And even the Leeds fans will admit they know their football. Beautiful assist, little dinked kind of through ball. But it is drama, again, bless him. And I'll reiterate my wish not to pile in on young players. That's not fair in the slightest. But Smith Rowe runs across him outside in, and it's kind of like one of those where anyone who's played any football, the ball goes in the net, you're kind of looking around, right, whose man was that? Who's lost their man here? And it's good. Smith Rowe's great, isn't he? And comes in and finishes it 4-1. Leeds very, very open and very, very leaky. Again, if you want to make the argument about the Xhaka tackle, yeah, you can. It would have changed. I can't remember what time in the game that was. My apologies on that one. I don't think it's the conversation for today, though, I have to say. 51% of the possession to Leeds. Interesting. Look, 21 shots to 9. 12 shots on target. 4 corners to 1. 6 big chances to 2. Look at the shot map over there. 3.64 on the XG. What we'll say is Leeds XG is pretty good, isn't it? I know there's a penalty that pads it out by 0.77, but 1.62 is a decent attacking XG total, which I'm sure will get raised in terms of some of the comments when we really look at this now. In terms of Leeds, and look, we had this conversation last season, and I know Leeds fans get cross with it because it's the tension between systematic problems and strengths, i.e. what Bielsa's philosophy gives with one hand and takes with the other. And we're talking about being very attacking and open, every phase of play being designed to create a chance, basically, isn't it? That's Bielsa's thing. If the ball's in play, you're either, if it's a defensive transition, you're either trying to win it back to make an attack, which normally involves pressing and going man-to-man quite quickly, or if you've got the ball, you're essentially trying to score a goal. There's never any, right, we're going to sit in for 5 minutes. Everyone get behind the ball, hit the channels and, quieten the away fans down and all of that stuff, that pragmatic approach that you might see from some managers, that never comes in. And it was a good conversation between Graham Souness and Jermaine Beckford. I just watched it on Sky yesterday. I can understand some Leeds fans, right after the game, hearing that, being a bit grumpy. But Souness does make a reasonable argument that suggests that sometimes it's good to take that pragmatic approach. And you can't really argue against that sort of philosophy that, of course, sometimes you should just get behind the ball and prevent an opportunity. That's fairly inarguable, isn't it? But at what price does that come? And certainly Bielsa thinks that's too big a price to pay. That interferes with his philosophy to the point that his players need to be completely focused on either pressing to win the ball back and pushing up on attacking players, or trying to score a goal. There's nothing else. So I know Souness will probably get a bit of a burial from Leeds fans on social media, but some of the points he was making were pretty reasonable. I have to say, in very, very broad terms, of course. And you can equally make the argument back that takes more away from what Bielsa gives than is worth doing. So there will be no short-term compromise. We're not going to see Leeds, who I think play Liverpool next, sitting in for the first 10 minutes. They're just not going to do it. They're too far down the road of what Bielsa's philosophy is to go, right, everything we've done in the last 3 years and everything I believe in and everything I have done for the last 30 years, we're just going to ditch that today because we're playing Liverpool and we're gonna sit in for the first 10 minutes and gonna get 2 banks of 4 and leave Dan James up top and hit the channels and use his pace. Not gonna happen in the absolute slightest. So look, the numbers are not good. 3 straight defeats. I can give a mitigating factor on that. Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal. And we can also talk about injuries, and we can also talk about COVID and the situation now and teams playing and not playing. So I get that. 1 win in 8. So we can talk less so about... we can still talk about injuries, because there was a point where obviously Phillips was fit in that time and Rodrigo was fit in that time. Bamford very fleetingly fit. But they've never... It's not like for more than probably... Have they even for a single minute had their strongest 11? Maybe at the end of the Brentford game, I don't know. But that seems a longer sample size. And the next one, 16 points in 18. Well, a lot of the short-term arguments can go out the window there, because that's not good enough generally to stay up. You need a point per game. You need to get to 38 points, don't you? I do accept the argument this season that if Newcastle don't power away like many think they're going to do, you might get a low tide and you might not need 38 points to stop up in the division. You might need 34 or so. Might need even less. Who knows? Could 3 teams at the bottom get marooned and it be a really low total? All I'm saying is it's not ideal, 16 points in 18 games. It's not what Leeds did last season. And there's a potential that if Leeds get 16 points in the next 18 games, so we'd be at game 36 with 2 to play and 32 points on the board, they could be in serious relegation trouble. So that's the kind of factor you've got to look at. The goals against is really bad as well. Look, 16 conceded in 4. Okay, you can again argue, oh well, Ben, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, and a big 7 in one column. But then you go the whole season, 36 in 18. Only Newcastle have conceded more. So for every short-term argument that you can kind of reasonably make, injuries, COVID this weekend, hard run of games, can't get the 11 on the pitch. For every short-term argument you can make, there is a response back that says, yeah, okay, but look at the big picture. It's trending in a bad direction. Even if it's an accumulation of short-term things that are a problem, it could end in one big problem at the end if, like I say, Leeds are at 32 points at game 36. And once again, I do reiterate, Leeds could be at 32 points at game 36 and not have any relegation problems, because you could have 3 teams below them all on 19, 21 and 23 points, and they're completely miles away from any issues, and can maybe put the season down as a bit of a transition, a bit of an unlucky one, and move on, let's just say. So look, I'd be interested in your thoughts. I know, generally speaking, the Leeds fans are very much behind Bielsa. I think most logical-minded Leeds fans would, even if they are behind Bielsa, say, look, there is a problem coming down the pipeline here if things don't pick up. The 2 things can be true there. I'll nail my colours to the mast. I think Bielsa's brilliant. I'm sitting watching this football in the Championship and thinking, wow, this is absolutely incredible. I do understand it's very open, and, I was there in 18-19 when Leeds had the collapse towards the end of the season, where, Leeds did have 65% possession, 18 shots, and lose at Birmingham or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So there's always the risk-reward thing, easy for me to say. And I do also accept Jermaine Beckford's argument that he made of, if the first 11's fit, there's no problem here. Leeds will trend upwards towards the end of the season. I agree with that, but I will also counter that by saying, what if the first 11 are never fit before the end of the season? What if Phillips is out 2 months and Bamford's out 1 month, but at that point, name Iain, Rafinha gets injured, for God's sake. That wouldn't be good. Meslier, the keeper. Do you know what I mean? And another one drops in. It's difficult. Really, really difficult. So I'm not sure we're ready to have a conversation about Bielsa and his job and Leeds fans turning on him. I don't think we're anywhere near there. Or, that little grain in the back of a Leeds fan's mind of, well, he is temperamental, isn't he? He's not going to pack up his clipboard and stats and storm off at some point if he gets too grumpy with all of this. So I don't think we're anywhere near there. What I will say is, as with a lot of things in football, you get very silly binary arguments where, for example, I'm a Bielsa fan, and then you get, I'm not blaming Simon Jordan, but TalkSport headline, Bielsa's not the second coming. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to think that Bielsa is a divine, godlike creature. We understand there's fallibilities here to be a fan of him. And also, I don't accept the complete flip reverse of, it's too open, it's never going to work. As is boring enough, the truth normally lies in the grey area in between those black and white binaries, let's just say. But really interested in your thoughts, especially in terms of January and the transfer window, and especially on that big what if. What if that first 11 never gets on the pitch through the end of this season? We saw Liverpool drop off massively. They couldn't get their first 11 on the pitch last season, and they're potentially one of the best sides we've ever seen in the Premier League with the first 11 on the pitch. But all of a sudden you take out all their centre-backs, and they were rubbish for about 2.5 months, weren't they? And dropped off massively from their normal standards. And unfortunately, a drop off massively from Leeds' normal standards, which we think, somewhere in the middle of the table, puts them exactly where they are at 16th, and looking below them, sort of nervously thinking, can we get our first team back? So look, get your oh God, went really high there, didn't I? Get your thoughts in on this. Let's try and make it a balanced conversation, and let's try and focus on what Leeds do going forward, rather than any conspiracy theories about red cards or COVID or TV fixtures being fulfilled or whatnot. I'm more interested in, how does this play out going forward, and is there a need for a little bit of a splash of the cash in January to mitigate that issue I've raised of what if the 11 never get on the pitch this season? Get your comments in on that one. And there is the table. So look, our 5 teams, Norwich didn't play, they're still bottom. Watford didn't play, they are still 17th. Have 2 games in hand on Leeds now, though. Brentford are in 12th and Villa are in 10th. None of them played, and we'll kind of focus on those teams a bit more when they kick back in. And you can see there are very, very disrupted fixture list. I think I've done that by date. It's not the whole round, but you can see all our asterisk games with the bells there not playing out. So, although there's not much to say, it does give us a good chance to focus in on Leeds, and I would love to get your comments on that. So please get involved down there in the chat. That was our round 18 review. Thank you once again to Simon, who is our fan sponsor over on Patreon. Legendary stuff. Keep that chat moving without a great deal to talk about, and I will see you soon for hopefully a more fully formed Dearly Departed after Boxing Day. We might not get that, mightn't we? But there you go. We'll see how things transpire. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.